a new sitting arrangement because, of course, we have our man Joe Hansen back in the studio. We just thought, why not sprinkle a little razzle-dazzle and just bring something new? And I think I kind of like it.
Joe, we kind of miss you. I mean, I can speak for myself.
Yeah.
And good morning, Joe.
Yeah, good morning, and thanks for allowing us to sit down, Benga.
Yeah,
Benga said
you're
morning,
welcome,
guys.
Joe.
Let's just sit, guys.
Good morning, Joe. You know what? Go to Enugu and collect your good morning from the Nigerian Bar Association and your lawyer colleagues.
This thing has been pretty useless, yeah.
That's because I did not study professional course.
At least you have met your professional colleague here, isn't it?
Yes, my bro for life. I miss you, bro.
One time. Oh my goodness.
This is part of what we have to deal with. It's even a lot more dramatic behind the scenes. But we're glad to be able to share this with you. Thank you for staying with us through the seasons and through the changes. I am Olive Emodi, and you're welcome to Breakfast Central.
And I'm Benga Borowa. The right place to start your day is here on Breakfast Central. We bring you the best of news, insightful information, discussions, and just the right way to start your day. As I said earlier, I'm Benga Borowa.
And I'm Joe Hansen saying welcome. It feels good to be back. Just a few days off, and then we're back and ready to roll. Most importantly, I want to say thank God for life. Having seen what happened in the Abuja-Kaduna train that indeed decided to derail, it was indeed hard. It was worrisome. Yeah. Bottom line.
But I thank God.
But we thank God. Yes, no kidnapping.
No lives were lost.
Yeah.
Right.
Only 6 persons were injured. Yeah. And we must use this medium to say kudos to the Nigerian military. Also kudos to the security operatives. They swung into action in real time, and they ensured that they got there just at the nick of time to prevent any form of attacks that could have happened at that point. But the question one would ask is how would the coach, the coaches separate from each other? How would the train derail from itself?
And the only logical conclusion, it's a case of vandalism. And we need to get into a proper discussion on that. Vandalizing critical national infrastructure should warrant a death sentence as far as I'm concerned.
Isn't that too harsh?
It's not too harsh.
Because
transformers, airports, transponders.
I mean, MTN just said that they've lost
clips on the rails.
The vandalizing railway. There are people that even vandalize communication towers.
Telco, MTN just declared that they've lost how many millions?
It's the most wicked and despicable thing you could do, and lives could have been lost with that derailment if these trains moved at faster speed.
So derailment is something that we've struggled with as a nation. The National Bureau of Statistics released a report, and in that report they said between 2020 and 2022 we had experienced 183 derailments. So 2020, I think we had about 57, then there was 61 in 2021, and then there was 65 in 2022. But it didn't stop there. If we now go to 2023, you recall in March, we had the one where people were kidnapped, and then they had over 60 persons kidnapped and the death of 8 people. Eventually, they were freed. That was kept, the Abuja-Kaduna rail was shut down for 8 months.
Yeah.
But before then, I think there was one in January, if I'm correct. There was also one in March 26, 2024. In fact, last year had more rail derailments than usual. March 26, 2024. Then there was another one 10 days after that, March 26. There was one on I think it's 5th of June. Yes, 5th of June. And it's this same Abuja-Kaduna. So the ones I'm talking about now, the Abuja-Kaduna rail.
Yeah.
5th of June, 12th of June, still at that same Asham road. So if you look at the frequency and the regularity with which this has occurred, House of Reps asked them. They summoned the Minister of Transportation last year, and then NRC at the time said, again, going back to what Benga had said earlier, it's due to vandalism and those who are stealing the track fastening clips. Here we are again. I think one thing that this tells us is that there's a certain vulnerability on that Asham, port, where we keep having
happens all the
over
time.
And over again. So we now need to ensure that there are measures that have been put in place to ensure that we don't keep having this. On the one hand, I want to feel like, well, we're doing better because this is the first one that we're having this year. But then we shouldn't be having it at all.
And then there's another story but you can't keep excusing poverty as a reason for criminality. That's why you have rules and regulations. Who do these people sell at this bolt and
Look
the
at
packs
just
that
look
they
at rats.
vandalize.
We don't
I
know
mean,
for
it's-
sure what this one is. To be fair,
Look, I can put a wager on it. It is vandalism.
well,
I want to second that.
yeah,
I
it
agree.
most likely will be.
I agree.
But maybe we should wait until the National Bureau for Investigation Safety tells us what this is. This is because, of course, they're carrying out their investigations. But again, it points out to the vulnerability on this line and how we then need to maybe look for ways in which we can prevent this from happening. It can be
Talking about
regular-
ways to prevent this from happening, there's been suggestions that, you know, the entire stretch should be fenced, and that's going to cost us a huge amount of money.
Fencing is too far. Before we get to fencing might take a while. There should be regular security
Patrols and
patrols, surveillance, and beyond even that, they need to work with the locals. Let the locals, you know, the way where you want to buy land, and then Omonile will come and collect their cut. Work with the locals in such a way that they feel like these tracks belong to them, and they feel a need to protect these tracks. We can also then leverage the use of technology. AI-powered drones to ensure that these hover around and that from time to time we can see that there is a thorough job done of properly investigating this. Because the truth is, this could have gone left. People could have died. Thankfully, I think
could have been kidnapped.
the high side, the upside to this one is the response time. From the
Yeah,
reports we get that
I like the
quick,
response time.
you know, and that people were easily transferred
But imagine-
to an export, but it could have quickly gone left.
But there's also one critical aspect that we also need to look into, and that's taking us back to 2022, where this same train route had an accident, was attacked as well, and a few persons lost their lives, just like you mentioned earlier. Back then, you did have the former River State governor, who was the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amici, who had come out, and I think that signaled his unhappiness with the then government, because he did mention that he requested for security equipment that would be able to forestall any attack on the train, the rail, the track systems, you name them, but he did not get them. And my worry is, if he had requested for that since 2022, there was a body or a what's the normal thing that they set up in the committee?
Okay.
I always say our committees, we always convene, we always put committees together, and then again, nothing happens. There was a committee that was to look into it. I was expecting that by now, the committee would have come out with a result or communique or a white paper to say, listen, let's get these equipments to forestall any form of attacks. I did hear that some of the equipment that are used in different, places is that there's this alarm that it makes. If there's anybody who's an intruder, it has an early warning system. It shouts, it makes noise, and so on. But
Beyond
since 2022 up until now,
even the alarm that allows you know when there's been when one of the track fasteners
the digital,
so you know that this area we need to check.
But
That's why I say we need to employ technology. It costs lots of money, but is it not costing us more? Because now they're going to do a refund to everybody that was on that train. In fact, some people are calling for compensation.
The disruption to the routes, because there's no way it can be fixed. Maybe not even in a week, because you have to get cranes to, move. You have to do repairs on the train, and then the tracks. It's really terrible. Just because
the NRC is also losing money because, like you've mentioned, they may be away. Yes, so in some cases we've seen them come back in 4 days. There have been cases where it lasted a month. There have been cases where it lasted 8 months. That was the case of the kidnap that led to the death and injury of and the withholding, holding to ransom of some of our citizens. Thankfully, all of them were released. But this definitely
and sadly some lost their lives, like the doctor who the bullet actually penetrated through the window. And then someone also highlighted in this same train and did a video just last month that the windows have not been fixed. You could still see the bullets that penetrated through the windows. They were still the same, this same rail track. But I want to say did I say congratulations? I want to commend the security operatives for actually coming out quickly to ensure that they were able to secure the lives of the people who they became stranded. My question is, how were they taken away?
So there was another train that was then deployed strictly for, I think through another rail line that was then just to take people back. And they've said, NRC released a statement explaining what happened. And on their page, if you check on X, you will see the press release. And in that statement, they had said that they would refund everyone's money. But beyond refunding, people have started to ask, it's not just about refunding. Will they get compensation? Because there are those who have lost time, who are, this has caused a huge discomfort to
the people that were injured, psychological
the
trauma,
people who were injured,
things like that. But
right. Rail derailment has been an issue beyond even Abuja, Kaduna, Warri, Itakpe lines. A number of these lines have had to deal with this, but like I said, it's bittersweet. Maybe the silver lining for me is this is the first. And we're already in the 8th month of the year. So maybe, okay, it hasn't happened as much in this year, but we don't want it to happen at all. But let's take a number of Nigerians' reactions to the Abuja-Kaduna railway derailment, and let's see what they thought about it.
IBK says, I boarded this same train on Monday and I noticed it shaking at some point. That means this issue has lingered and the government there knows about it, but will they fix it before casualties? You know the answer. Well, IBK, I wouldn't want to say the government really knows about it. Every single thing is not about the government.
And trains do shake.
Trains do shake, yeah, but everything is not really about the government. Also, what about the workers, the people who are working there? You want to tell me that the engineers did not also check if they noticed there were some shakes here and there? Well, Orenusi Samuel says the tracks are set in good positions. Those who hijack trains are the ones who cause the reasons train derail through vandalizing tracks. I hope stringent efforts are put in place to checkmate them, because more and more citizens will lose faith in the system if it continues. And you're right, if it happens, people would slow down. The Peace Ambassador, Ash Ama Koko, says, imagine this country, both on the ground, overground, even DLR in London have been operating for years, and you can never hear this happening anywhere near their trains or tracks. It's only Nigeria where they will go to China and buy the abandoned trains and paint them, and then come back and be deceiving Nigerian citizens the good process.
Well, that's not the situation.
That's not the situation here now. Other countries' trains are moving 300 kilometers per hour without any issues, but my country's train that's moving like a snail is still derailing. Steve. Anyway, Steve, I think we can actually just highlight one key issue here. One, we just need to wait for the Railway Corporation to actually send in their reports.
It will be very important for us to get that report.
Yeah,
the swiftness, and I appreciate the swiftness they used to, the swiftness at which they issued their press release. I also want to talk about vandalism of critical national infrastructure. It's really, really terrible. And then it highlights the level of poverty in the country. If you've noticed something, if you're driving through Sule, through the National Theatre axis down to the island, because you're preempting people from, you're stopping it, and you've seen that, look, when you use guardrails, when you use the aluminum or metal, people vandalize it. So now they are using cement to, they are replacing them with cement. Yeah, they're casting them just because you don't want.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that last week. I was wondering what they were doing. I saw that.
The manholes.
Oh, okay, yeah, and the manholes are gone.
Yes, they're gone, and it has caused so many accidents. So they've said, you should use plastic materials or even cement for manholes, because you just have to.
I'm starting to align with your thought of your thoughts that anyone who is caught destroying national infrastructure should actually have a lifetime in jail, and I think so. I think so.
Okay, just to highlight again the press release by the NRC as to what the numbers were. So far, we hear that 618 persons were on board the train, 517 were passengers. We had 15 NRC crew members, 1 medical personnel, 8 cleaners, and 11 catering staff, and were successfully evacuated from the train. The remaining passengers were conveyed safely back to Idu and Kubwa stations aboard a rescue train dispatched from Idu for that purpose, and all have since returned safely to their destinations. We'll continue to bring updates. We do hope that, again, when it comes to situations like this, that we can have a clearer picture of what the numbers are, of what led to this, and how we can avoid it. We do not want to see this, because the truth is, could have easily turned left. And the numbers, when you look at the derailment challenges that Nigeria's train corporation experiences, the numbers are in no small measure what we should be celebrating. But well done to the NRC for speedy response, and we thank God that it wasn't worse than it actually is. Yeah. Let's now move on to another story, this time in Delta State. Now, a video went viral of some police officers counting money that others allege that may have been obtained from extortion. because of the manner in which the money was handled. You can see the officer there counting money. Now, this video became viral and sparked outrage. Let's take a listen. Nigerian police officer, if you can see here, it says that this is the area command in Asaba. This video sparked outrage on social media with a number of netizens complaining bitterly about this, accusing the officers of extortion. Now, Bright Edafe then released this photo stating that the 4 officers have been identified, that 2 are senior police officers who have gotten queries and the remaining 2 have been remanded. That this is them appearing before the Commissioner of Police, and he's bringing, this is just an update to the facts that they have been found. I'm just going to read out the exact tweets where Bright Edafe shared this, and then we can share our thoughts. He says, the policemen in the embarrassing video have been identified and arrested. They appeared before the CP today. The 4 personnel, 2 of them who are senior officers, have been queried, while the 2 inspectors have been detained and are awaiting an orderly room trial. Anyway, so
I really have to appreciate the swiftness of the Delta State Police Command. I wonder how they identified them. Just from the shape of the head. No, I mean, I'm sure there's there are more than one operational vehicles.
But whoever is in charge in Asaba Command will be able to. It's just like somebody saying they take a picture of someone that's a new central staff.
Or imagine Breakfast Central crew.
Imagine
that was Joe.
No, that can't be me.
I think more Kunle. It's Kunle that will count the money.
Kunle is there counting money. They will now say, this is new central boss. It can never be us.
No.
But then we will then be able to track down. Our head of programs will be able to find out from the team. The head of the producers of the show will then be able to narrow it down.
But
so I don't
can
think
never be associated with such.
No.
And again, the Nigerian police, why, it reminds me of Balotelli. Why always me? Why always the Nigerian police in the news? But the same Nigerian police is also doing something about the bad eggs. They didn't just see the video and ignore.
I also have 2 sides to this too, but you go ahead first.
First of all, how can we prove that the money we saw him counting was money from extortion? I'm not holding brief for the Nigerian police. What can we categorically say?
Wait. I want to answer you.
No, let me learn first. Wait. So how can we prove that that money is not money that his wife has scraped together and given to him to go and pay their children's school fees? We cannot categorically say exactly that is not a wajo. We can't categorically say that that money was from extortion.
Okay, that's the lawyer you speak.
That's one. On the flip side, Bright Edafe coming to tell us that 4 police officers have been arrested, that 2 were queried, and the other 2 were they're remanded. They'll be investigated. First of all, there's a bit of a misunderstanding as to why is it that 4 people were involved in the offense and 2 were giving query and the other 2. In this life, all fingers are not equal. And the final
maybe the one that gingered the extortion.
The 2 that were giving query are senior officers.
And so my question, I know.
The senior officers
lies with
while
them.
The other 2 are just inspectors.
I read that. I said that. Well, it doesn't matter. If you were involved, shouldn't you get similar punishment? In fact, the levels of accountability should be higher for the senior officers.
Absolutely.
Because you are the one who will tell these junior officers, no, don't do that.
You lead by example.
I saw a video the other day of a senior officer chastising a junior officer who was collecting bribe. And my final take would be, if you're going to release information, let's not do half and half. You might as well share the names of these officers as well to ensure that there is clarity. The same way that when the Nigerian police picks up people that they're investigating, suspects, thankfully that has calmed down. But for the longest time, their names are out, their photos are out.
Age 32.
Exactly, their information is out. Why can't they share this information as well? So that as they're investigating, we can also be following the process. So if you want to give clarity, clarity cannot be done in half measures. Clarity has to be complete. I rest my case.
Dilo, can I answer you?
You may.
Please go ahead before I jump in.
You said how we show that the money is from proceeds of corruption.
From
or
extortion.
Allegedly. Number 1, when you begin to use money to hook another money together, just know that there's something fishy going on. it means you are dividing it by the number of people you want to share with. So
that's a fallacy of hasty generalization.
We're
just jumping into conclusions.
Yeah,
but don't know for sure. And this is not me holding brief for the
Delta
Nigerian
State Police Command.
I call them out here when there's obvious
Delta
been a
State
crime.
Police Command has vindicated us. They've done the investigation.
I mean, we must give kudos to.
So,
we must give kudos.
it's a foregone conclusion.
It's not a conclusion. We don't
so
know
why would they?
No, we don't know for sure. It is not a conclusion.
But wait.
We need that investigation to be made public. And that's another area that I need to point out. They do all these investigations. We hear that this person has been reprimanded. This person has been, their spokesperson comes to give us one flowery comment. No, Nigerians need to be carried along through the investigation process because, again, there's already a breach of trust. It's the breach of trust between the citizens and the police that will make when you see somebody, a police officer holding money, your first interpretation of that is, it's bribe.
I mean, that's what we must give kudos to Bright Edafe, because he has come out to say, listen, like you said, it's very swift and it's good. But my two sides to this, my take is this. One, I think the police officers and the Nigerian police force, especially men of the police force, should become ever more aware that we live in a changed society now. And I'll tell you why we say changed society. The reason is because now we have cameras. Whether you like it or not, people are ensuring that they have cameras even inside their cars, outside, within. The other time we saw someone who was disturbed for wearing the glasses with cameras and so on. And this should actually help the police officers to understand that, listen, we have to be more careful. We have to be more prudent. We have to be we have to be focused in doing our jobs. Because by the time we decide to do something quite different, we could be captured on camera. And that's exactly what this situation looks like. I'm sure that when they were done, they just decided to park somewhere. And someone decided to take the responsibility of being a journalist, because everybody with a phone now claims to be one, and then did the recording. That's what.
To you, when they were done from what?
Extortion.
When they were, I don't know. I don't know.
Because of the type of bills and the manner in which they were going about it in a clandestine way. If they weren't hiding anything, why don't you count the money?
So if I want to count my money, I should open my car and come down out of my car and stand in front of the car.
Are they not police? Who wants to rob them when they are counting their money?
That's a good question. But my point to you is, we can't say it, so let's wait for the investigation to come through. I also agree with Oliver, on the other hand, that if there were 4 officers, 2 senior officers, 2 inspectors, I think all 4 should actually be met with the same process of either interrogation or this. Because
exactly. Well, because to whom much is given,
I agree. So they should be able to face the same processes of either they're going to be questioned, interrogated, or they're taken to the trial room, whichever. But lastly, this also calls for one thing. It also is a clear indication that whether we like it or not, in a country like Nigeria, we need to do more. We need to ensure that the police officers are well paid, they are well remunerated, they receive good salaries, and that calls for reforms. And I think we will continue to see, Benga, I know you are saying here we go, but let's be honest, if a police officer earns 70,000 naira in this particular economy and he has 4 children, how is he going to care for them?
Teachers, doctors, everybody could use some extra pay. It's a voluntary organization, and they were not conscripted.
Can I say that
if you don't like
it,
you can resign?
Again, 2 truths can coexist in that it's not an excuse for you to carry out fraudulent activities. This is assuming that money was gotten from extortion. But then again, I go back to what you were saying. So
because doctors are carrying stethoscopes and not guns, they should be striking. They should. I mean,
but they're striking anyway.
Yeah, they're striking.
They should start giving people wrong injections. Is that what you mean?
So,
or they should be threatening them.
It is not
50K or I choke you this injection.
By the way, that happened to me just 2 nights ago. Wow. I had to pay a ransom in the hospital to get treatments for a family member. And that's crazy. It's a conversation we'll have later on. I hope we do.
Okay.
Look at the Nigerian
everybody needs better welfare, a livable wage.
I mean something.
Okay. Let's get reactions of Nigerians to this on X. They've been talking about it, and let's see what they have to say regarding the Delta State. Someone says, if this is not robbery, what is robbery? NG Police Com. The Delta State Police Command is one of the most corrupt, dubious, and notorious in Nigeria. We urge the police top hierarchy to deal decisively with erring officers tarnishing the image of the force. Then the next tweet, and the worst part of it all is how such officers harass motorists to get these 100 naira, 200, from assault to verbal abuse. Now, who do you report to? If the officers are identified, we only read of their supposed suspension. Exactly. We only read of their supposed suspension in and on the news, but no serious example is set because the corruption starts from the top. And these are the people we expect to serve during the election season. God help us in this country. That's what Daniel Rega says. Our next tweet from Mezie says, these are the animals we have on our highways, extorting people with brutal force and coercion. The fact about police extortion in Nigeria is that no extortion happens on the way without the police bosses in the offices knowing about it. Extort and share is what they do in the Nigeria police force, and this is why extortion can't ever end in that organization. That is the tweet from Mizzy. Ben Samuel says, it's simply unfair. Someone is busy counting their children's school fees, money they earn legitimately, and you're simply recording that. Exactly. I strongly dislike baseless
I agree. I strongly.
This is sarcasm, Sha. This one is sarcasm.
No, of course. I'm sure they don't pay them cash. I know it's the end of the month.
Anyway.
I don't think they pay cash. They pay into their accounts.
Ikuku says Nigeria police that should be a security force, they count money like market woman for Balogo market. With due respect to our wonderful traders.
Okay.
Joe, I'm sure if that video clip lasted longer, we could have seen this way of counting.
The one that they will use
saliva
in the fingers.
but it's sad that in 2025 we still have to deal with all of these things. And besides, I always say that because Nigeria prides itself as a giant of Africa. In as much as we have such videos like this, circulated on social media space, we're also happy to say that we have good videos of good police officers who are doing amazing things. So we're not going to paint, the entire thing. No, we wouldn't do that. But we want to say well done to the police spokesperson, and we hope that there will be a report after the entire investigation.
And I'm looking forward to the Nigerian police Christmas carol video. We're approaching the end of the month.
I know. They're going to shoot music video. Maybe they'll use Director Pink this time. But just to say that, I know that earlier I had said, and I still hold the view, that we do not know how that money was gotten. But then again, I can understand the sentiment of a huge fraction of Nigerians who genuinely believe that this money was gotten from extortion, because that has been the practice that we see, where you stop at checkpoints and you're seeing Nigerian police officers asking you anything for the boys, anything for the girls. Sometimes they are more civil about it or more polite about it. Other times they're very violent about it. They're cocking their guns at you, asking you to park, bring out your particulars, and when they can find nothing on you, they end up asking, so how far now, anything. So extortion has become a practice that has been widely accepted and strongly criticized by citizens. Widely accepted because we do not know how much work has been done in terms of the police officers themselves realizing the dangers in what they're doing and how it's painting a terrible image for the Nigerian police force. And criticized because citizens have tried. We try. Citizens wear smart glasses, make these videos, citizens put up a fight in the face of unlawful extortion. We would once again lend our voices to say extortion is criminal, and the Nigerian police should carry itself with the utmost pride, as it should be. It is the force of our nation, and it should not be caught up in these sort of dirty arguments and dirty stories about officers that are extorting. We don't want to see videos of foreigners coming into Nigeria and passing through our borders, making videos of Nigerian officers in a way also trying to extort them. We have tons of these videos, and we need a different narrative for the Nigerian police. That being said, let there be investigation.
I want to put up a challenge that throughout next week, I really hope, throughout Breakfast Central next week, that we won't have any wake-up conversations or any stories, negative stories about the Nigerian police force.
People have got
Let's see how long they can keep it up.
I'm sure they'll keep it up.
This is the second time this week, and today is just Wednesday.
All right, let's move to our final story. The convener of revolution now, Yele Sowore, seems to be in the eye of the storm again, and this time the IGP has gotten a court ruling to access his account. Of course, you know that he's been embattled with it feels like it's been a battle between the Nigerian police and the IGP. He initiated the investigation into Yele Sowore in August 2025, alleging that he was involved in terrorism financing, money laundering, and fraudulent activities. The police claim to have received intelligence reports indicting or indicating that Sowore was using his account for these purposes and receiving financial support from foreign partners for terrorism. To facilitate the investigation, he has obtained this court order directing 6 banks, saying that they request documents including account opening packages, mandate cards, and certified true copies of statements reflecting all transactions from January 2024 to present. Sowore has, of course, denied these allegations, describing the investigation as politically motivated and part of a broader effort to silence his activism and journalism. He has continued to criticize the IGP and the police leadership over issues of corruption and governance. Gentlemen?
These are very serious allegations, and I believe if he has something to hide, that the courts will prove it. But again, is this priority? Is this what we should be looking at? I mean, at this point in our nationhood, is that the biggest security threat? But I mean, who are we to tell the Nigerian police who to investigate and what not to investigate? So I believe the courts, in their own wisdom, will decide the steps to be taken.
That's right. I mean, when I saw the story, I said, okay, this is, it's like from one stage to the other. The first stage was, had to be the accusations, just like you also read. The next stage was also ensuring that you had taken retired police officers straight to the IG's office to protest. Aside from that, that was a different protest in between. But you use that same medium to say, listen, whoever you're talking to is not your IGP. And we've also seen Mr. Sowore go around to say that the IGP is not supposed to be the IGP because he's way past his age, and he should actually have left office. So he doesn't regard him as one.
He calls him illegal. I was saying,
yeah, illegal IGP, that's what he calls it. And then before we knew it, that led to his arrest recently. And he had pointed out on this show, Breakfast Central, about 2 weeks ago, that he knows that the reason for his arrest was as a result of the fact that he's been talking against the IGP.
Yeah. Not just the IGP, but also against the Cybercrime Act.
Absolutely. And after that arrest, here we are again. This is another phase. So I'm seeing it as from phase 1 to 2 to 3. We keep going back and like that. It's back and forth. Right. But let's see.
Sowore, of course, has reacted to this. On his X account, he says the illegal IGP has picked up on the same failed strategy by the now disgraced and extinct Muhammadu Buhari regime because I said I don't want any private meetings with him. Ndidi Edeoghon, I am not interested in meetings with crooks and criminals. I can't be an accessory to their crimes against the Nigerian people, and they won't learn until this regime, the ASUU Bola Ahmed Tinubu regime, is finally disgraced to #revolution now. That's what he says. But let's go on X and get Nigerians' reactions to these updates. Wicked
to Obingo says this. What kind of name? These names, Obingo. What is this? Black African wit. It says this Sowore was working for USAID. He go use in hand, enter trouble, make it pray, say nothing linking him with terrorism unknowingly. He go hear him like Nnamdi Kanu. All right, that's one. Let's move on to another one. Did I ever hear court order requesting banks to furnish IGP with account details linked to those that have stolen billions from state and federal government purse? Now, this is a completely different conversation. #Egwetiku must go. That's what this one says. And the court, shame go catch you now at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. #revolution now. This is Ario A. Adewale. Let's see, we have another tweet quickly. Victoria Arceta 2 says, Sowore forgot that he that lives in a glass house does not throw stones. What the IG has done is called follow the money trail. Now we will know where Sowore and SR gets the funds to carry out his protestpreneurship, you wanted to say. No worries if it's clean, but is it? And then we'll move on to another one.
You know, I mean, legally, Olive, does Mr. Sowore have the legal means to contest this request?
I mean, he has every right to contest everything that's brought up against him. That's why there's a court of competent jurisdiction where if you feel that your rights have been infringed upon, then you can go against it. But this is not the first time that they're asking for freezing Sowore's account. In 2019, same thing happened because you know there were strong allegations against him.
But
and
this is beyond freezing. Well. They want to see the details. Yeah.
Well, so even when there's client confidentiality, but there are exclusions to every general rule. So generally, your banks owe you client confidentiality to not disclose your information. However, in the case where there has been an allegation of a commission of a crime, the court can request that the bank provides your details. So yes, this is not something that cannot be done. It's whether, like Showore is arguing, there is a legitimate reason behind it, or there's another undertone that we'll find out. But time will tell. We'll be bringing you the updates of these stories. But for now, I don't know if you have any other...
I just wanted to say that, I mean, shame on those policemen in the Delta State Police Command, because they're giving the president a bad name. Because just yesterday in Brazil, the president said there's no corruption in Nigeria.
I thought you would say more like corruption is gone. You know,
corruption is gone.
Those like subsidies gone.
Yes, and then, so what happened to the guys that were caught with those wads of Nigeria?
But is that statement 100% fact?
Well, that may be something that we might discuss later in the show this morning. And to ask you, our audience, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Brazil says corruption is no more in Nigeria.
That's corruption. That one is extortion.
That you agree with. You can let us know. We're streaming live on YouTube at News Central TV. And at some point, we'll open the phone lines. You can call in and share your thoughts with us as well. But for now, let's begin with our top stories for today. This morning on Breakfast Central, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declares Nigeria corruption-free. And we'll be bringing you an update on the Benue Assembly crisis. They had an executive meeting yesterday, and what the update is from there we'll tell you. Northern PDP youths condemn South zoning, which was an offshoot of the 102nd PDP NEC meeting. ASUU strike, NANS threatens asset shutdown as they ask the federal government to uphold their own end of the agreement. We'll review the newspaper front pages and open the phone lines for you to call and share your thoughts. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, University of Abuja chapter, has joined the nationwide protest over unpaid arrears. Despite harsh weather conditions and defined rains, the lecturers came out in their numbers, urging the federal government to settle their 25% and 35% wage awards. News Central's correspondent Joshua Imarai reports from Abuja.
Members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, University of Abuja branch, defied the rains to converge at the university's main gate, pressing home their demands. They say this demonstration, the first under President Bola Tinubu's administration, is part of a nationwide campaign to highlight the hardship caused by unpaid entitlements.
And what we are doing is to let the government of Nigeria and the general public to know the hardship the academic staff have been going through in this country. Academic staff are in the same salary they were 2009 when fuel was less than 100 naira. To the time it was 200 naira, and now it is almost 1,000 naira. Right now, the government is owing the academic staff over 1 year, about 1 year of the 25% and the 35% wage award unpaid. Today, the promotion arrears of our members in the last 5 years have not been paid.
The chairman of ASUU, University of Abuja branch, Silvanus Ugo, says that the union has recorded rising death rates among lecturers, which he attributes to the stress of the unpaid arrears.
And in every our National Executive Council, we don't have report of less than 45 to 60 members dying every 3 months. And if you check 90% of these deaths, they are stress-related deaths. Is it when all the academics in Nigeria die that things will happen in this country?
Ugo also says that there is a need for Nigerian universities to operate with full autonomy. He dismissed the government's idea of offering loans to lecturers, insisting that clearing the arrears remains the urgent priority.
And allow that autonomy without interfering with the activities of the university. They should allow the extant laws to speak in all the universities. What we need is not loan. What we need is to pay us the things that are due to us. Recently, you would have heard the federal government say it's going to give academic staff loan. How can you give us loan when you are owing us 3.5 months' salary?
The lecturers are also demanding immediate implementation of the Ayali Ahmed report as part of their push for reforms in the education sector. In Abuja, for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
I mean, like Mr. Akatuba said yesterday during the newspaper headlines review, that one of the things the APC could pride itself of is that they've managed to keep the lecturers in universities and allow the academic calendar to run through its natural course. But now ASUU is threatening strikes. But let's hope and see if they're able to set their differences with the government.
Hope is not a strategy.
Yes, but it will be nice for these students, they've gone through a lot, for their academic calendar not to be disrupted.
Absolutely.
And ASUU's calls and their demands are quite reasonable, so it would be nice for the government to meet them, or for both parties to reach a compromise, as long as the students keep attending lectures and the university environment produces the type of graduates that are fit for the 21st century workforce. And yes.
The National Association of Nigerian Students has also threatened to actually shut down critical infrastructure in Nigeria if the attention of the federal government is not drawn to this current situation. That's the impending strike by ASUU. The unfortunate thing is whenever ASUU goes on strike, there are many layers to ASUU strike. The fact that number of people won't get their salaries. But more importantly, like we say here in Nigeria, that when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. The grass here being the Nigerian students who might be have to be out of school. Their academic calendar will be altered. It's why you hear people who say they went to school for a 4-year university, spending 5 to 6 years. Those 5 to 6 years, not because they had a carryover of any course. It's when you count the accumulated strikes they had to experience in school. For me, in my first year, I had, I think, a 7-month strike in my first or second year university. I can't remember now, it's been a while. But these are the realities that Nigerian students have to face. The fact that there's no guarantee. It's why many people would rather opt for private universities, because they think, I want my child to be able to go through the regular 4 years or 5 years, depending on which course they've gone for. That being said, I think it's imperative for the federal government to come to the negotiation table with ASUU. NANS has gotten involved. They've asked for the 2009 agreement to be enforced. There are many many asks that they're demanding, and it would be great for them to have a proper conversation to ensure that this is resolved before the situation is blown out of control. I
agree. I mean, not too long ago, the current Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, Professor Ogundipe, just recently mentioned that out of 239 first-class students that they had, only 17 decided to remain between the period of 2015 and 2022. And he highlighted the reasons why only that number remained. Out of 239, 17. He said it's because of poor remuneration. The package was very poor. And in the package you just saw by a man, Josh Emarayi, it also goes to show that, I mean, imagine that. You're earning the same salary you were earning while petrol was less than 100 naira, or was 100 naira. And then it's increased to almost 1,000 naira. You're still earning the same amount or same money that you were collecting as your salaries. So I think it's high time the government really sits with them. Let's thrash this issue once and for all. It's been back and forth for so long. It's been it's been on for the longest I can remember. I mean, all of you mentioned while you were in school, there were strikes. And do you recall that before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu actually was sworn into president, to become president of Nigeria, in one of his videos, he did say that there will be no more strikes. He said so. He made that statement clearly. He said there will be no more strikes, no more students would have to go to school. But it's like 2 years passed, and that promise or that strong statement that was made by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has not in any way stood the test of time. We're starting to see a lot of them agitating and asking for a review in the salary payments, and strikes are also looming, and so on and so forth. But my point is, I think it's high time they look into it. It's sad. If you're a father, if that was your father who was speaking there, how would you feel? He's collecting the same salary he was collecting from way back, and it hasn't been reviewed.
And the work conditions too, like you could hear him, that a lot of his colleagues have passed away due to stress. related ailment, and you don't want to work in that condition.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move away from talking about ASUU and NASU and NANS, and now to head to Benue State, where the new Speaker of the Benue State House of Assembly, Alfred Mbaga, has suspended the immediate past Speaker, Audun Adajo, for 3 months over allegations that he attempted to impeach Governor Hyacinth Alia. The motion for the suspension was raised by Tena Shimawa, representing Kian constituency, and supported by James Umoro of Apa constituency. The suspended immediate past Speaker had previously suspended some other lawmakers amid heated leadership tussle during his tenure. News Central's Chizoba Anyowe, who is in Benue State, following the development, reports that the new Speaker presided over plenary for the first time on Tuesday. Let's take a look.
Seconded by someone, there was no counter motion.
There was no vote in the process.
There was no vote in the process. The Speaker gavelled that suspension should be just reducing from 6-month proposal to 3 months. So that's the procedure. That's the procedure. We don't have those proofs, but the person who moved the motion have the proofs. And the person who seconded also have the proofs. And the Speaker has ruled, and it is suspended.
Him of all persons, during his tenure as a Speaker, he has made several streams of suspension. The first 13 were suspended by him for 3 months. The other ones were suspended for 3 sitting recalled. Then other ones again were suspended, I think, for 3 months again. So for the axe to be laid on him, he should understand.
I don't know if you saw that coming. I would say that when P Square was singing, "If you do me, I do you," man no go vex, they were probably thinking of Benue State House of Assembly, because what in the African magic is this? So for those who do not know, it's a suspension galore. Audun Adajo, the former Speaker, suspended 4 lawmakers. These 4 lawmakers he suspended, Alfred Mbaga was one of them. 48 hours after suspending these 4 lawmakers, he submitted his resignation letter, stepped down, gave us the impression that it was a peaceful stepping down, there was no bad blood. In fact, just yesterday, the spokesman for the Benue State House of Assembly was on this show telling us there was no bad blood, and he resigned citing good faith. And as soon as they swore in the new Speaker being one of the earlier on suspended lawmakers, Alfred Mbaga. Alfred Mbaga has now suspended the former Speaker who resigned. I don't understand.
Yeah, and we recall speaking to the spokesperson of the Benue State House of Assembly yesterday, and he denied any bad blood. He said, you know, these things happen, that we're reading meanings into things. So I wonder what you have to say about this latest round of suspension, where the immediate past Speaker has now been suspended? Or are they doing it to just even things out?
So you suspend me and suspend you, man no go vex.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he was suspended for 3 months. So again, I go back to the conversation we had yesterday when we were speaking with Honorable Elias Audu, who's a spokesman for the Benue State House of Assembly. And I remember saying to him, why is it that there was no other person from the Benue State House of Assembly that could have been made Speaker? It had to be one of the earlier on suspended 4 lawmakers. What was the reason for the suspension? And then his response was that, you know, it was an erroneous suspension.
Shuffling,
you know,
also,
so they brought him back because they realized there was a mistake. I say, so you are admitting to the fact that the House did not do its due diligence when the initial suspension was carried out. Again, politics will keep politicking. And that's the update from Benue. But I do not believe that the Benue State, in fact, I don't think this is over. I think it is far from over, as there will be more discoveries in the coming days and weeks, maybe more shufflings, maybe more appointments, and who knows, maybe more suspensions. But that's the update we have for you from Benue State. Let's take you through a recap of the conversations this morning and then share what's coming up next. This morning on Breakfast Central, we looked at NANS threatening assets shutdown if ASUU embarks on strike. And then we also have just shared with you the update from Benue legislature tensions as the new Speaker suspends his predecessor over alleged impeachment plot. University of Abuja, ASUU has now joined the nationwide demonstration. Let's then share with you what's coming up next.
Coming up next this morning on Breakfast Central, Northern PDP youths condemn zoning of 2027 presidential ticket to South. Tinubu declares Nigeria corruption-free in Brazil. And Nigeria-Brazil strengthen ties with new aviation agreement. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, at his ongoing state visit to Brazil, has boldly declared that Nigeria is now free of corruption under his leadership. He cited reforms in the foreign exchange markets and increased transparency at the central bank as factors contributing to the anti-corruption reforms spearheaded by his administration.
Nigerians are asking, is this declaration grounded in reality or a political theater? This conversation we're going to have for the first half of this second hour, as we do have joining us to dissect this, a seasoned international lawyer and administrator, Ndidi Edeoghon, joins us this morning. Thanks for joining us, and also aware that you are also deep into policies and decisions, especially taken by, you could say, prominent personalities or members of society. So we'd like to also hear your thoughts on the policies that's got to do with what we just said, what's taking place in Brazil. But let's start with the headline. President Tinubu says no more corruption, or corruption, I beg your pardon to use the words he used while he was, sworn into office. Corruption is gone, maybe. But as a legal practitioner, can you share with us how you interpret these type of statements, especially when it's being said outside of the shores of your country or Nigeria?
Yes, thanks for having me. So initially, when I heard this, I thought, okay, there must be some other angle that I'm not seeing here or I'm not hearing. Maybe we have different definitions of the word corruption. So I thought, okay, this must be a perspective thing. So I went deeper. I started to dig into the word corruption because maybe I didn't understand what he was saying. And I realized that maybe he's talking about macro corruption and not micro corruption, because there is a distinction, right? So micro corruption is the everyday corruption people encounter, while macro is the grand systemic corruption, right? That it distorts economy, it distorts governments. The scope of macro is basically high-level government, while that of micro is individuals and low-level officials, right? So impact, let's talk about impact here. And the impact on micro corruption, because I'm talking about this because I need to understand the distinction between both, is that micro generates basically distrust, higher transaction costs, while macro talks about the effect on systemic poverty, on weak institutions, and on less FDIs. So our president is in Brazil, and he's trying to bring us more FDIs, foreign direct investment. So it is probably in this context that he was speaking about this. And the only way I could assess this is by using data, right? Using data, which is very key so that you don't get into the whole emotional response. And when it comes to data, how do you measure micro corruption? You use it by daily experience surveys, like the Afrobarometer. With macro, you use like corruption indexes and national audit reports. So you're with me so far, right? Let me hear.
Yes, we are.
I want to be like talking.
Yes, we are.
All right, good. So we're on the measurement level, right? Because I thought I have to measure this. I have to understand what is being said here. Now, when it comes to the measurement of corruption, because apparently Nigeria is corruption-free, there is no corruption, so come in. The president did say that, let me even get the exact words, right? He says that his reform has been impactful since he came in 2023. The results are getting clearer to the people. There's no more corruption, easy in, easy out. And see, the CBN government is accessible, right? So in all these statements, I had to analyze them, be like, okay, what exactly are the results that are getting clearer? Let me use data to talk about these results. And the results are that in 2023, till now, there's an index called the Corruption Perception Index, right? Run by Transparent International, TI. And Tinubu was right. President Tinubu was right, because we are not ranked 145th in the world. Now we are ranked 140th. So our score is 26 out of 100, no longer 25 out of 100. So, yes, he was correct. And okay, let's talk about the other measurements, like maybe the convictions of the FCC, right? And again, he's correct, because in 2024 calendar year, the EFCC actually had the highest ever annual convictions, 4,111. So this is good. He's correct. But then I thought, okay, but really? EFCC, who is actually getting convicted here? And I went deeper, and I found out that it was, fraudsters, internet fraudsters, some foreigners, basically cyber crimes and fraudsters. I said, okay, how about, are there any high-level convictions? Because there must be, right? Because we're fighting corruption. There must be high level. And we found that there were maybe like 3 high levels that had to do with the protection of the naira. We know those cases. But how about governors, ministers? Yes, there was one. EFCC and the ICPC said when it came to convictions, they had 4 governors and 3 former ministers, including, the former CBN governor. Okay, so what is happening to that now? What is the status of that? We do not know. So I'm like, all right, so I'm not quite sure how to assess this now. Let me go into systemic poverty. That's one of the impacts of macro corruption, right? Now, systemic poverty, unfortunately, has increased, according to the World Bank. Yeah? From 46% to 54%. Let's go to weakening institutions. That's another effect of macro corruption. Yeah, there we're not scoring so well either, because basically there have been extra 26 bodies that have failed the basic standard of strong institutions. So I'm really trying to grasp and trying to understand what's being said here, because I understand that, yes, it's true that right now we don't have to get the CBN governor's approval to repatriate funds, so that's good news for the investors. But you need to understand that there is a micro and macroeconomics, and on both levels you need to assess it and find out whether truly Nigeria is corruption-free, right? I'll stop there, because I could go on forever on this. I could really go on forever on this, because there was a lot of analysis I had to do. And the policies are great. Let me talk about the policies, right? The policies that Nigeria has are fantastic when it comes to this, right? Doing business in Nigeria, we have great policies. Basically, we have SMEs, because we're doing an inside-out kind of growth. Because the SMEs have labor-intensive value, right? So it would help with unemployment. It would help in building the economy. So we have good policies to this. We have the 50,000 naira PCGS grant for nano firms, right? We have the 75 billion naira MSME interventions. The Bank of Industry is preparing 200 billion naira single-digit loans, yeah? And a manufacturing facility is in progress or in perception. So this is good. But all this, without addressing the micro corruption, seems like a very futile exercise.
So what would have been a better way? What would have been a better way for the president to make this statement, or a more realistic statement? If you say that yes, there has been progress. I mean, you've made reference to our position on Transparency International in terms of our corruption rating. So if we say yes, there have been progress, that there are policies that are pushing us in the right direction. However, these cannot be looked at absolutely without looking at the micro situations where people have to explore what corruption is. So what would have been a more realistic statement to have been made in this situation?
Well, I think you should have just specified it in the area of repatriation of funds. In that sense, we can see that there's amazing progress. When you're normally changing naira in the black market or in the official rates, there's very, very minimal disparity, if any now, right? So that's good. That's really good. But as an investor, I will look at all these ratings as well. I would look at how are we rating our government institutions. Let me give you some statistics, which is very mind-boggling. I found that out yesterday. I'm trying to get as recent as possible. And this is done by Barometer. Yeah, it was a body that kind of Afrobarometer, sorry, about statistics. And it said here, right, recently, that 67% of Nigerians paid bribe for police help, right? 53% paid to avoid trouble of the police. 56% paid bribe to get government documents. And 8 out of 10 say corruption increased somewhat or a lot since May 24 to May 25. And on the level of perceived corruption, they say, Nigerians, according to this survey, that the police, 70% say the police is the most corrupt, then the presidency with 62%, then parliament with 65%, local government councillors with 55%, and judges with 54%. So all these percentages, right, are casting a doubt of whether Nigeria is truly corruption-free. And when I, as an investor, will come in, I would look at all these things. How will I be able to enforce my judgments? How is the climate? Will I have to do certain things that would compromise my integrity? I would look at these things. So he needs to have been more specific when he said this, because we can't fool what we already know, right? We can't fool the people.
Now, let's talk about some of the gains of this administration in terms of fighting corruption. Transparency in the forest market is commendable. You don't have those huge arbitrage gaps that we used to have in the past. But corruption in Nigeria seems to be systemic. Can reforms in one sector justify such a sweeping declaration?
Sorry, so the question is whether it's systemic? Is that what you're trying to ask?
Yes, and I mean, the corruption in Nigeria seems to be systemic, but can reforms in one sector, like the forex market reforms, justify such a sweeping declaration that, you know, corruption,
No,
Nigeria's
exactly.
corruption?
It can't. I mean, we have so many sectors. We have so many sectors that we need to focus on, right? I understand that Forex is like, okay, we focus on money, I get that. But there's so many sectors. And I also believe that if you have a very strong consequence for any area of corruption, whether it's basically beating a traffic light and meeting someone on the road and saying, "Oh, sorry, I beat a traffic light," you know? Something as simple as that. Where there is an obvious cause and effect pattern, you would automatically reduce corruption. You know, so we're talking about policies on the high level. Yes, it's good. Whistleblowing, stuff like that. Yeah, that reduces corruption. And we're talking about framing policies to that effect. Yes. But why don't you just start small? Why don't you just start with the fact that if this happens, this will happen to you, and then go through the prosecution process? I was completely disappointed. I was elated when I found out, okay, the EFCC had done so many convictions. I was so happy. I'm like, yes, finally. But then I thought, let me find out who they've been convicting, right? And we need to see the high-level convictions. We need to see more of that to build the trust in the populace, and also to build the trust in the fact that if you mess up, no matter how high you are, you will bear the consequences.
All right.
So that systemic angle, yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at the video for the benefit of our audience who maybe haven't gotten to see it yet. Let's take a look at the video where the president made the declaration, and when we'll come back from that, we'll ask our next question.
The reform that I've embarked upon since I took over in Nigeria has been very impactful. I can beat my chest for that. It was initially painful, but today the result is blossoming. It's getting clearer to the people. We have more money to the economy, no more corruption. We have the governor of Central Bank here. You don't have to know him before you get the foreign exchange that you need. The speculators are out in our currency market. The door is open for businesses. Easy in, easy out.
All right. There you have it, the president making those very strong, bold declarations as to where we stand. So now my question to you would be, if we say that he cannot make such sweeping statements, what benchmarks would need to have been met before Nigeria can credibly claim to be corruption-free across board?
The benchmark. Well, I like the corruption perception index. We scored what, 25%, right? The average in sub-Sahara Africa is 33%. You know, can we at least get to the average, which is abysmal, 33%? In fact, if my child scored 33%, I would punish them, right? I wouldn't be, hey, well done, you didn't fail as bad as you should have failed. You know, I would punish you. But okay, let's just say that's fine. Can we get to 33%? And then we can start talking about, okay, let's see about we're corruption-free or we're getting better. We're 25%. Yeah.
Anyway, let's look at what this could mean, especially for Nigerian businesses, businesses in Nigeria, foreign direct investments, because when the president talks tough in this manner, saying corruption is no more, this should ordinarily attract more investors. So don't you think so?
Yes. Well, I think it will, because in some angles, we have gotten better. I gave an example, right? I give an example. And investors and foreigners keep on coming to Nigeria because we are amazing. We are amazing. We have the human resources. We have the raw materials. We're good. And what I think could be done, I mean, Smedden actually said, what did Smedden say the other day about the report? They gave a report that said that our earnings in 2024 contribute to 6% of the GDP, right, our export. So foreigners see this, investors see this, and they're like, oh, there's something in Nigeria, and this is good. So I don't think the president said anything less than what he said, but I think he could have quoted what he said, right? Because it is true. Nigeria is an amazing place to come and invest. To do business in Nigeria, it will work. People from within Africa and all over the world do come to Nigeria. But in order to guarantee and to make them more relaxed, investors that is, you need to strengthen the institutions. You need to make them see that if this happens, this will happen. You need to secure the fact that maybe their staff, if their staff isn't getting paid this amount of money, they must get paid. If their staff goes on strike, what would happen? You know, you need to make them feel happy in these micro things, I guess you would say, but very significant things for them to be able to feel comfortable in your country. Or otherwise, you would just be attracting venture capitalists. Easy in, easy out. Yes, that's exactly what they would do, right? Not the money, well, the money with the money, of course. They would come in, scavenge, say thank you very much, and then zap.
Now, some critics have said that this declaration by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is premature. It's just 2 years into his administration, and dangerous that it could undermine current anti-corruption efforts by creating a false sense of achievement. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, well, I'm a very positive person. You know, I teach leadership programs to students, to youths, you know, trying to raise the apathy. So I need this kind of positivity in my life. This was why I didn't just laugh it off and I didn't think, oh, shit, there we go again, right? It is a good statement. It is a good statement because it gives people hope, and I've given you data to show that it is actually a true statement in some areas. So I align with the critics that say, we shouldn't have done this or said this so generally, but I do not agree with those critics that say that it would dampen the hopes. I think it actually makes the hopes go up. It made my hope go up. I thought, okay, especially with the EFCC convictions. So you need to give the government small praises. Not small praises to be like, hey, you've done a great job, thank you so much, but small praises in the sense of effort. You're making effort. Now, in this effort, give them guidance on how to curtail their effort so that it's sustainable. Because you cannot keep on pouring water into a bucket that has holes. I mean, you're making so much effort, you're fetching that water, you're sweating, it's boiling, you're like sweating all over the place, but the bucket has a hole, right? Kudos to the effort, but how far with the sustainability and the impact? So critics, I get you, I feel you, but hey, let's give kudos where kudos is supposed to be given, and let's guide the government into what they should be doing.
All right, in this fight against corruption, you have championed youth development and civic education. What impact does this kind of rhetoric have on young Nigerians? And let's also talk about the roles that we as citizens have in the fight against corruption.
Okay, so it's a two-tier question you asked there. So what impact on the youths? The youths, I've been doing this for 10, 12 years. So they are the most impressionable set of people. And it's very easy, because I teach between primary 4 all the way to secondary university. And it's very easy to, make the mind malleable in primary school. They actually are positive. It's actually the parents that kind of make them negative by, saying comments that they just latch onto, right? But the youths in primary school, early secondary school, they actually believe and they actually want to make Nigeria better. So if I was to tell my, primary school child, right, you know what, Nigeria is getting better, blah, 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 it would give the youth hope. I'm like, oh, really? So all I'm doing is actually, it can work, and I'll keep on going. Now, if I am bombarded, which we are, by negativity, especially in the mind of the youth, they just go into complete apathy, like, what's the point? What's really the point in doing all this? Because really, if we're scoring 25%, how am I going to get better? What if I even bother? So the youth, we have to be very careful how we relay information to them. It must be realistic, but it must have a lace of hope. Like, we are corruption-free, quote unquote, in this angle. Our round tripping that we used to do, our double rates that we used to have gone. So this is good. But in other areas, we may not be. So it gives the youth a compass on where to direct their energies to. But if you just go out and say, you know what, Nigeria just, it demoralizes them, and then you give me more work. You give me more work in trying to raise their hopes towards that.
Right. And now
what was the second question?
Yes, the second part was the roles that we as individuals have in the fight against corruption.
Ooh, the office of the citizen.
Yeah.
That is the best role ever. So I belong to a group where I went to the School of Politics, Policy, and Governance, right? And that's exactly what we champion. The office of the citizen. We do not know how much power we have. I mean, let me give you an example. I'm not talking about mob justice. I mean, I watched this clip yesterday about like a VIO official that basically had to, get redirected in the manner in which they were stopping the vehicles, right? So this was like the power of the people to say, you know what, enough is enough. Let's not do it this way. So if truly we become less selfish, because that's what I see our problem to be. But like, it doesn't really bother me. How this one concern me? I beg, leave me, free me. If we become less of that and rise up to the office of the citizen, it will work. We would actually become less corrupt. If you see something being done and you're like, this isn't fair, you're like, how that one concern me? Eventually it will concern you, right? But the office of the citizen is the most important office that we have. And if we can only get to that position where we are like, this isn't fair, let's do something. And this is what I try to tell the youths, because they're always saying, it's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair. I'm like, okay, redirect this sense of injustice towards the economy, towards Nigeria. Is it fair that this and this happens? No, it's not fair. What are you going to do about it? I don't know. Can we do this? Okay, why not? And then they go home and parents go, I beg, no, leave me alone. Right, so Office of the Citizen, please keep on championing it here on your show, because it's really, really important.
All right. Anyway, I'm sure that we'll get more analysis on this statement made, and plus we'll also get to feel the pulse of some Nigerians who may have a rather very positive opinion on the statement made that there's no more corruption in Nigeria, especially with a video we shared on Wake Up Conversation showing some security operatives, licking their fingers and counting some monies that allegedly...
Micro
yeah, that's the micro corruption that we're talking about.
Macro.
Macro. Absolutely.
Get it right.
Absolutely.
Macro, there's a difference.
Absolutely. Thanks for breaking it down for us in that manner, and thanks for joining us. We look forward to have you again. Ndidi Edeoghon, thank you.
Wait. Let me give you one last quote, just like ruminate, yeah?
Okay.
I love this book when I saw it, yeah? It says this: repair your vessel first, or the well will mock your labor. Yeah.
Repair your vessel first.
Or there's another one from Haggai, fantastic scripture. It says, you earn wages only to put them in a purse with holes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's a good
That's a good one.
wrap up
That's
the
a good one.
conversation. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Ndidi, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
All right.
And still talking about the Brazil conversation, well, let's also tell you that a new bilateral air services agreement has been signed between Nigeria and Brazil, marking a significant step forward in international relations and air connectivity between the two major economies. Our correspondent Bettina Nweli reports on what this means for aviation, trade, and the broader strategic partnership between the two nations, Nigeria and Brazil. Take a look.
Agreements reached during President Bola Tinubu's state visit to Brazil, the signing of a bilateral air services agreement stands out as a practical step towards stronger economic cooperation.
As you are aware, the Gulf of Guinea has been relatively peaceful over the years. So we want to enhance that and continue to work together to make sure that that channel is secured.
All the fundamentals that every country needs to actually put in place to attract foreign investments, Nigeria within the last 2 years have been able to attend. So we are a virgin country now, ready to accept investment from all over the world, and Mr. President is doing so well in actually showcasing what Nigeria can offer to the international world.
We're looking at over $30 billion investment in the area of agriculture and food security, in the area of aviation investment, and bilateral in the area of airline airspace between Nigeria and Brazil.
Air Peace, Nigeria's largest airline, has been designated as the official carrier on the new route. The airline says that it hopes to begin operations by late November or early December, with free weekly flights connecting Lagos, Rio de Janeiro, and Sao Paulo.
We are looking forward to starting at about towards the last week of November into December this year. We told the Brazilians that we want to do Lagos, Sao Paulo, Lagos, Rio, Sao Paulo, then and back to Lagos like that. That's taking people going to both cities and dropping people in both cities before coming back to Nigeria.
We all flew here. We had 3 stops, a cumulative 19 to 21 hours. We all know that going back will take us 2.5 to 3 days. Now, that has changed. That's the power of an MOU. There's an understanding.
According to the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, a symbolic inaugural flight is scheduled to depart Brazil for Abuja at midnight Tuesday, marking the beginning of a new chapter in Nigeria-Brazil relations. In Abuja, for News Central, Bettina Nweli.
Very interesting conversation. I would say that's good news. Yes, indeed, for all those who were looking forward to see what bilateral, or better still, memorandum of understanding will be signed between Nigeria's aviation sector and that of Brazil. Well, there you have it. So no more 3 days just to go to Brazil. All you need to do is just hop on. Did I say hop on? Well, board an Air Peace flight and you'll be on your way straight to Brazil. And that's a good one. Let's see. I mean, of course, the netizens on social media decided to go the other way. And one of the comments I did see on social media, someone said, let us see the edit. I don't know if you understand where that's coming from, Olive.
Governor,
you know,
Nigerians are very skeptical.
let's give
need to
time.
be receptive to.
Yeah, let's give time. And this is good because when you look at the past, Brazil, Nigeria, there's form of some cultural relationship that we do have in the past.
Yeah, for example, in the state of Bahia in Salvador, in Brazil's northeast, Bahia, they have the largest concentration of Yoruba-speaking people outside the African continent. So they still practice a lot of Yoruba traditions.
Exactly.
They eat akara. So there's that brotherliness.
Amala is well known there as well.
Yeah, so
and don't forget it.
And Brazil is a footballing nation. So instead of spending time in the snow, you can always go to the tropics. And they've cut the travel time shorter. So instead of stopping over in South Africa, then making the trip to Sao Paulo, you could have direct flights from Lagos to Sao Paulo or Lagos to Rio de Janeiro.
That's beautiful. We look forward to seeing more direct flights like that.
And I'm looking forward
to Air Nigeria.
There are many Instagrammable moments in Brazil, you know, taking a picture with the Christ the Redeemer statue in the background. It would
All right.
be nice.
So
I'm sure I'll get
in
a
the
few
morning.
likes from you.
Of course, you will. I'll do breakfast in the morning, then for lunch I'll be in Brazil. Let's go on a break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at some politics, what's happening in the PDP, and why are the Northern youths not agreeing with the zoning arrangements? Stick around to find out why. Just yesterday, we were celebrating the 102nd NEC meeting of the PDP and thinking, things finally are starting to look up. But it will seem that the crisis in the PDP may not be over yet, as a group called the Joint Action Committee of Northern Youth Association, JACON, has rejected the People's Democratic Party's decision to zone its 2027 presidential ticket to the South, describing the move as unjust, undemocratic, and a betrayal of the North's decades-long loyalty to the party.
They argue that while the South has held the PDP presidency for over 13 years, the North has only had 2.5 years. And now they say the North has been sidelined again. Join us this morning to unpack this development as chieftain of the PDP, Adai Edwin Adai. A warm welcome to you and good morning.
Good morning, News Central. Thank you for having me.
Now let's get straight into it. This Northern Youth Group has recently decried the move by the PDP following its NEC that zoning its 2027 ticket to the South. It describes the action as a betrayal of decades of loyalty to the region of the party. Do you agree that the North has been used for votes and denied leadership? Do you see what's your take on this zoning arrangement?
Well, first and foremost, thank you once again for having me on the platform. Yeah, in respect to the agitations or the declaration by the Northern youth leaders who, of course, have every reason to express their opinion, because in democracy, it is clearly stated that the majority will have their way and the minority will have their say. Yes, they may have good reason to express their opinion on the ground that if you look at the 16 years that the PDP had ruled this country, among those number of years, like you rightly pointed out, they not only had 2 years and all of that, but the PDP is a very big political party. We are nationalistic in view. And then we need to take everything into consideration when making this kind of critical decision. And I think it is in the wisdom of the leadership of the party this time around, the National Executive Committee, which of course is the most revered, most respected, most highest organ, lower than the convention, they have come together and said, look, we have set up a committee led by the governor, the present governor of Bayelsa State, to look into the critical issues and, of course, look at what has happened in the past so that we can have a comprehensive zoning arrangement where there will be no agitation. And, of course, that committee, in their wisdom, which comprises party leaders from the 36 states of the People's Democratic Party, highly respected, highly revered leaders of the party, men of integrity, men of capacity, they all came together to say, look, we need to strengthen this party. We need to do the right thing. We need to look at the bigger picture, not the political party internal issues. Because, of course, political decisions of this magnitude, you need to take so many things into consideration, especially the view of the country as a whole. And on that ground, the leadership of the party has deemed it fit to say, look, because of the expressions from different quarters, I think it is apparent and very fundamental for us to zone the party presidential ticket to the South, which of course, when you look at the whole thing holistically from the very broader perspective, I think is the right step in the right direction.
All right. But in all of this, something stands out, and what stands out is the clarity that the current FCT minister, who was then the former governor of Rivers State, had highlighted this reason or reasons why it should be given to the north, to the south, I beg your pardon. And he made this clear, but it seems like it was ignored, himself and of course the G5, all the G5 movement. So now that you're saying that indeed NEC meeting has indeed said it should be moved to the south, is it in any way showing that maybe the PDP could have listened to former River State governor, now the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, and now that you're moving into the south, are you expecting that you would get the full support of those who are from the south, but you're ready to lose the north, especially part of the north who are not in support?
Well, first and foremost, let me correct an impression here, because there are certain misinformation that is on the public space, which of course, as a party leader, it behoves on us to correct such misinformation. Number one, it is not the idea or the philosophy of the FCT minister or the leadership of the party to zone the presidency to the south. In the aftermath of the 2019 general election, a committee was set up, headed by the present governor of Bauchi State. And the secretary of that committee was Dr. Emmanuel Agbo, who of course is the director general of the PDP Governors Forum presently. That committee actually met. A wide consultation was undertaken in that respect, and the committee came up with a resolution. I said, because of the present state of the party, and as a leading opposition in the country, it will be wise that the leadership of the party to throw the ticket open. And you know, at that particular point, the leadership of the party, we are not looking at the zoning arrangement, or even though it's critical in the party principle. What we are actually looking at that particular point in time, before the 2023 general election, was the credibility and the potency and the quality of the candidate we are presenting. And in the wisdom of the party and in line with the recommendation of that committee, it was stated very clearly in that committee that we should throw the presidency open, because at that particular point in time, the party were not really looking at the zoning arrangement to either north or south. We are looking for the best candidate who has the gravitas, who has the name, who can actually deepen the penetration of the party down to the grassroots level. And it is upon that premise that the leadership of the party decided to throw the ticket open. Unfortunately for the former Vice President, His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, he picked the ticket. So it's democracy. The people made that decision. And therefore, if one person said, okay, he's the one who is pushing that agenda, I don't think it's correct. The People's Democratic Party believes in democratic principle. And therefore, it cannot be an opinion or an ideal of one person. It is a collective decision of the party as at that time when that decision was taken, within the party level.
All right. I think my next question would be, now that we've seen these northern youths disagree with the position of the party regarding zoning, I want to ask if this decision was made taking into consideration the standpoint of the North, where the northern stakeholders involved in this decision-making process. Where would you say the fault lies? They maybe fail to transmit the decision to that of the younger ones to also gain their support, as they also are legitimate PDP members?
Well, first and foremost, like I said earlier on, the PDP is a very strong political party. We have quality leaders from the military background, from the academic background. We have a very robust youth structure, and we also have a support group that is very vibrant and alive. And I know the character and the nature of the People's Democratic Party, as it were. I know that the northern youth who, of course, are expressing their view, they have a point, of course, we don't downplay people's expression when it comes to political matters of this magnitude. But I can assure you that, just like I told you before, that the PDP will always get stronger and stronger by the day. Yes, there is a place where we call the negotiation table within the political party. And don't forget that the PDP has a very strong internal conflict resolution mechanism. We're going to call them to the negotiation table, and then we're going to explain the rationale behind why the leadership of the party decided to take that critical decision. And I do know that with the nature and the quality of how we behave within the internal system of the party, and I know that they will actually have reasons to identify with the party in the long run. So there is no conflict of interest at all. The PDP is one big family, and I believe the NWC in their own wisdom will call them together. They just need more information. They need to be talked to. They need to be educated properly to understand why the leadership of the party decided to take that decision. So there is no cause for alarm at all.
Now, some have argued that there's a school of thought that believes that zoning promotes national unity. But if one region feels perpetually shortchanged, doesn't that undermine the very essence and principle of equity? Though many have also said that if the PDP had not zoned its ticket to the south, that would have been the complete alienation of the party. Because we remember what happened in the last elections. At the back of 8 years governance of late President Muhammadu Buhari, a northerner, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, got the ticket to contest under the banner of the PDP. So what do you make of this equity debate and also the balance?
Yeah, thank you very much for that very significant question. You know, there is something about the principle of democracy. Yes, the principle of democracy advocates a majoritarian government. Yes, the principle of democracy advocates for equity. Yes, the principle of democracy advocates for transparency. And therefore, the principle of democracy advocates for transparency. We all know. But you see, there is another fundamental key issue about this democracy that is so loving that we as a country have adopted. Democracy has never promised that everybody will always be on the same page. It never says so. It talks about the majority. And therefore, when the majority in their wisdom take a decision, it behoves on this smaller group or people who have personal opinion to understand that, yes, the principle of democracy talk about the majority. And therefore, it behoves on them to understand that the character and the nature of democracy is at play. It has nothing to do with undermining, their interests. It has nothing to do with undermining or say there is no equity or there is no equality in the People's Democratic Party. That is not what the principle of democracy has guaranteed. It talks about majority. And therefore, as a party leader and somebody who is very knowledgeable about the philosophies of the People's Democratic Party, the majority of the People's Democratic Party has taken the decision, and therefore that decision is binding. What we are even talking about right now is how to work on modalities to see how we elect new members of the NWC in our subsequent convention. I think that is most paramount to us now. But of course, for the aggrieved, we'll have a way to reach out to them to see to it that they come to terms with the interests and the decision of the majority.
Speaking about the convention that is scheduled to happen towards the end of the year, there's been significant pushback against the convention, but we also hear that there's another meeting scheduled to be held sometime in October. So can you walk us through what the expectations are from this meeting in October as well as the convention later in Ibadan?
Well, what I can tell you right now as a party leader is that, number one, Nigerians should understand that the People's Democratic Party is a very formidable political party. Like I told you earlier on, the last time I had a conversation with you on this platform, I liken the PDP like a political party with 9 lives. It's unkillable. The spirit of the People's Democratic Party is greater than every individual. And therefore, right now, as I speak to you, as a member of the political party, we have set up different committees. We have the zoning committee that is working right now. The Convention Committee is working. The NEC is working. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party are working. And wide consultation is going on. So you're going to see a new energy in the party. You're going to see a new concept, a new philosophy, an addition to the manifesto of the party, an addition to the ethics of the party. We're going to instill discipline. We're going to ensure that a lot of issues that borders on conflict of interest is resolved. So better days are ahead, and subsequently you're going to see some of these events unfolding in some of the meetings. But of course, there are certain issues that I cannot disclose right now because it is still within the cocoon of the political party.
Let me borrow your words, in the cocoon of the political party, but inside that cocoon, as it were, would you agree that the PDP will equally be towing the same line it towed a few weeks ago, where it had literally asked a former member to return to the party? I'm talking about Mr. Peter Gregory Obi. And aside that, is the PDP also looking to be a force to reckon with ahead of the 2027 elections? Because pretty much it seems like there's no preferred candidate yet since Atiku Abubakar has left.
Well, let me answer this question this way. The People's Democratic Party, like I said, I think the question, I didn't hear that question very well. I didn't really get that question because the line is blinking. If you can repeat that question.
Okay, so the question is, one, the PDP, is it going to be a force to reckon with in 2027, seeing that you've lost some of your members, they've left the party? Okay, go ahead with that.
Yes, of course. The People's Democratic Party has always been a force. It's not that it's going to be a force. We are the leading opposition political party in Nigeria today. And get that correctly. We are not sorting, or we are not looking for a candidate to fill. We have quality men all around in the People's Democratic Party. We have men of capacity. We have men who understood governance, who understood politics. Yes, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar may be out, but of course, like I said, as we always say, the umbrella is very big, very, very big, very, very big to accommodate everybody. And therefore, I know that for a fact that the leadership of the party are talking with Peter Obi, and of course, the leadership of the party are also talking to President Goodluck Jonathan and other critical leaders, within the political party. Definitely, I can assure Nigerians that at the appropriate time, you're going to see a very vibrant political party that you know. So there is no cause for alarm. We are very, very ready, and it is important to reassure Nigerians that we are going to be a political party to beat in the 2027 general election.
All right, and slightly away from the PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has announced his intention to run for office. And now he's not running under the PDP, he's not running under your umbrella. He's going to be running, maybe if he does get the ticket, to the ADC. How do you react to this?
Well, you see, because of personal relationship that I have with His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, and so many leaders in that party, like my political mentor, His Excellency, the former President of the Senate, David Mark, and so many leaders who, of course, have left the PDP to ADC. I can say that it's rather unfortunate. I can say that that decision was not well thought out, with all due respect. And I believe that like I had a conversation with some of the leaders of the Board of Trustees and some of the founding fathers. They told me categorically that the umbrella is, the party is still open, and they are looking forward to seeing that they will reach out to His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and David Mark and the host of others who have left the party. The PDP is now becoming a peaceful home and has become a peaceful home. So the reason why they left the party in the first place, which is the leadership squabble that happens within the party, has been resolved. So there is no moral justification whatsoever for them to still remain or migrate to any political party. The PDP is one big family, is their home. And of course, some of them are founding fathers of the party. You cannot build a house and say, oh, because you're having issues, and then you are moving to another place, you are abandoning the house that you have built. So as a young man, I'm trying to, use this opportunity to appeal to them to reconsider their decision, to see what they can do to come back home, because it's their home, they built it, and therefore we are ready to welcome them back to the People's Democratic Party.
So if you welcome him back, if you welcome him back to the People's Democratic Party, would you then give him the opportunity to run?
I did not see future. I did not see future in the ADC. So it is better for them to come back home and, of course, to return where they really belong to, which is the People's Democratic Party.
My question is, if you, like you're saying, the house is open, the doors are open for them to return. If Alhaji Atiku Abubakar should return to the PDP and become family again, what about his interest to run for presidency? Will the PDP still give him another shot? Now that he's been zoned to this house.
Listen. If our name is the People's Democratic Party, nobody can take a unanimous decision in the PDP. If he comes back to the party, I am very sure that they will give him the waiver. I am very, very sure of that. The PDP is a very lovely political party that respects their elders, that respect the founding fathers. I can assure you that as long as if he expresses interest, even though the presidency is on to the north, I can tell you that they will still self-form to him. It's a democracy. It's democracy, and therefore the principle of democracy must be practiced in its entirety. And I can tell you, even though the presidency is on to the north, to the south, as the case it is now, the form is still open. We are not going to restrict anybody from buying the presidential nomination form. If by the wisdom of the delegate and the desire to say, okay, we are going to vote a northerner, we don't have a choice. That we zone it is because we believe that that is the right thing to do. But that does not undermine or restrict anybody from buying the presidential nomination form from any region. That is not the principle of democracy as practiced by the People's Democratic Party. If you recall, even in the formation of the party in 1998, 1999, you will remember that even the presidency at that time was zoned to the south, where Obasanjo picked the ticket. The likes of Abubakar Rimi expressed interest and he contested. Nobody stopped him. So the fact is that, yes, majority will have their way, the minority will have their say. It's democracy. It's not an autocratic or a totalitarian administration. And therefore, the house is open and we are going to welcome anybody. And everybody also will be given the opportunity to aspire, regardless of the zoning arrangement.
Okay, so finally, I think my final question would be, can we say now that the troubles of the PDP are officially over?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's 100% over. The energy of the party is back. The leadership of the party is happy. We are going into convention now. The disciplinary committee have taken a decision. The zoning committee is working. And therefore, I can tell you for a fact that, yes, the People's Democratic Party is back. Yes, the People's Democratic Party will be better off in the nearest future. I can tell Nigerians that we are back and better. And of course, we are going to see a new political party full of energy, full of vigor, ready to lead Nigeria once again.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking with us. We'll look forward to see all of these things come to fruition. And hopefully, this would lead to more conversations, especially with the one who would represent the PDP ahead of 2027. It's been a wonderful conversation. Thanks for your time, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Very interesting conversation there, insightful as well. But there are so many other questions to be asked and answers to be given. But we'll do that when next we have another PDP representative or chieftain who will join us on the show. In the meantime, let's quickly remind you of what is coming up next for the final hour here on Breakfast Central, here on News Central. Coming up next on News Central, Northern PDP youths condemn South zoning. Tinubu declares Nigeria corruption-free. We'll look at that story as well. Sure, it would be in the front pages or on the front pages of the newspapers as well. And we'll look at bilateral relations. Stay here. Here on Breakfast Central, let's take a look at some of the biggest stories making the headlines this hour. The Nigerian Railway Corporation has suspended train operations on the Abuja-Kaduna route till further notice. NRC Managing Director Kayode Okpefa announced this while briefing journalists in Abuja hours after the incident. He stated that technical staff, along with the Nigeria Safety Investigation Bureau and other relevant agencies, are investigating the train derailment site. Okpefa dismissed claims about poor train conditions and confirmed that ticket refunds have been initiated for passengers on board. 6 passengers sustained minor injuries and have been treated. The NRC bus also visited some passengers at Asham and Idu train stations as authorities continue their probe into the derailment. The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered 6 banks to provide the Inspector General of Police with full account details and transactions of activist Omoyele Sowore covering January 2024 to date. Justice Emeka Nwite granted the order following an ex-parte application by the IGP's lawyer, Wisdom Madaki. Sowore is reportedly under investigation for alleged terrorism financing, money laundering, and other fraudulent activities. Police say at least 26 accounts linked to him, including those of Sahara Reporters Media Foundation and the African Action Congress, are now under scrutiny. Let's move now to politics. The People's Democratic Party's decision to zone its 2027 presidential ticket exclusively to southern Nigeria has divided northern political groups. The PDP's National Executive Committee made the decision on Monday at its 102nd meeting while retaining the National Working Committee under Umar Damagam. Some northern leaders, including foundation members, support the move to contest against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress. However, National President of the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum, Yerima Shetima, criticized the zoning as undemocratic, warning it sidelines qualified northern candidates and risks alienating northern voters. Elsewhere, the new Speaker of the Benue State House of Assembly, Alfred Mbaga, has suspended the immediate past Speaker, Andona Dajo, for 3 months over allegations that he attempted to impeach Governor Hyacinth earlier. The motion for the suspension was moved by Tena Shimamua of Kian constituency and supported by James Omoru of Apa constituency. During his first plenary session as Speaker on Tuesday, Mbaga presided over the House amid ongoing leadership tensions. News Central's Chizoba Nyongwe, who is in Benue State, following the development, reports that the new Speaker presided over plenary for the first time on Tuesday.
By someone, there was no counter motion. There was no vote in the process. There was no vote in the process. The Speaker governed that suspension should be just reducing from 6-month proposal to 3 months. So that's the procedure. That's the procedure. We don't have those proofs, but the person who moved the motion have the proofs, and the person who seconded also have the proofs. And the Speaker has ruled, and it is suspended.
Him of all persons. During his tenure as a speaker, he has made several streams of suspension. The first 13 were suspended by him for 3 months. The other ones were suspended for 3 sitting recalled. Then other ones again were suspended, I think, for 3 months again. So for the axe to be laid on him, he should understand.
Kogi State marks its 34th anniversary today, with Governor Usman Ododo urging citizens to commit to service and collective growth. Since its creation in 1991, Kogi has navigated challenges and is now seeing major development. Ongoing projects include road construction, school renovations, hospital upgrades, and rural initiatives. Governor Ododo outlined a vision emphasizing quality education, accessible healthcare, thriving industries, and strong agricultural growth. He is calling on residents to unite with the government to build a peaceful and prosperous Kogi State. Away from that, Southwest states are intensifying efforts to combat flooding and cholera through a 3-day workshop held in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State. The event brings together government agencies, disaster management stakeholders, and media representatives to enhance emergency coordination. UNICEF highlights that the workshop prioritizes the protection of children and women, emphasizing rapid response using established procedures. The initiative reflects growing regional commitment to managing these recurrent challenges effectively. And that's all the news we have for you here on Breakfast Headlines. Don't forget to stay with us at 12. You would have the 12 report with Blessings Mosugu. You can get a detailed news analysis and not forgetting to insights, especially with our in-swingers and reporters who will be joining in. I'm Joe Hansen. Stay here. The front pages of the papers comes up next.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. It's now time for us to look at the newspaper front pages. And joining us for analysis today is Mr. Sheson Okwade, Public Affairs Analyst. And Sheson, Okwade, I must tell you, I've never told any analyst.
Can I tell you what he's about to tell you? That you are his favorite analyst.
You are my favorite newspaper analyst.
Ask me, how do I know?
How do you know?
Because he said that yesterday to Mr. Theophilus Akatuba, and the day before.
As yesterday.
And Habib Haruna.
As yesterday, Theophilus Akatuba was my favorite analyst. Today is a new day.
But he has not started now.
As in advance.
Thank you very much, Benga, and good morning to our viewers across the globe. Yeah.
Wow. Benga and Nigerian politicians have one thing in common.
What newspaper do we start?
Let's start with the Punch. Let's start with the Punch. I think the Punch pretty much has all the biggest stories, all of them.
PDP, ticket zoning to South splits North. This is a conversation we had earlier with the PDP chieftain. Parties and other stakeholders to review decision next week. Move may favor Tinubu's re-election. Warn Arewa youths. Zoning fair to South, says Middle Belt. Probe begins as Abuja Kaduna train mishap injures 6.
ASUU protests rocks campuses ahead of federal government talks. And 239 first-class lecturers quit Unilag over poor pay. Wow.
Wow.
And United States court jails Osun monarch over $4.2 million COVID-19 fraud. That's not a royal.
Yeah, I read that story in the early hours of this morning, as early as I think past 6 a.m. No, not 6. I think that was around past 5 a.m. this morning. While I was going through, I was like, wow, how could you? But anyway.
How do you bring such a royal institution into disrepute? I mean, it's terrible. That's the Ekwetu, the royal father of Ekwetu Modu. When the prison guards come to him, they'll be telling him, Your Highness, your food is here.
We should take that story on 239 first-class lecturers quit Unilag over poor pay. This is a reflection of where our education system is currently at. ASUU going on strike, National Association
threatening to go on strike.
NANS, the National Association of Nigerian Students,
saying
they will shut down critical infrastructure if government does not listen to ASUU. And now 239 first-class lecturers quit Unilag over poor pay. Let's start with that.
Thank you very much. What I would refer to as a disheartening story, looking at the importance of education, even in our economic growth and development. People will tell you that if you don't train them, don't blame them. If you observe, the decadence that we have is part of the failure that we have in terms of our education. I've not read the in-depth of that story, but it's alarming, because I know it will definitely be within a specific period of time. I don't want to believe that this happened just between January and August, where we are in now. Maybe in the last 2, 3, 4 years, it's the reference for this particular story. But be as it may, lecturing used to be one of the good things everybody wants to venture into, because you want to impact and grow people that will definitely take over from you. But when you see people actually taking a leave and not ready to impart the knowledge, it impends a serious threat to our development. Be that it may, I think it's a wake-up call to those at the helm of affairs. This has nothing to do only with the federal government, even at the state level. So if you discover that the lecturers are leaving, a lot of the people in question who are at the helm of affairs today enjoy the basic free education with quality teachers, lecturers, from primary to secondary to tertiary institution. I asked myself the question, the stories a lot of us read and we witnessed where you saw a lot of foreigners coming to a tertiary institution. Where is that story of today if a lot of those people are actually leaving? And if you ask me, they are not leaving UNILAG to go to OAU. Nope. They are actually leaving to go to UK. So you are facing this in education. You're facing this in the health sector. Don't forget, we keep talking about brain drain in the health sector. So it's something that traverses every sector of our economy, of which we keep asking ourselves. We want foreign direct investment. We are traveling to have good handshake with other countries. I think we are only preparing the ground for our citizens to have safe landing there, not for them to invite the other people from there. But it's a very disheartening story when you see that lecturers are leaving lecturing job and they are still in need, but for other senior clients where they can enjoy dividend of lecturing. Don't forget, they will tell you that the reward of teacher or lecturer is in heaven. These days, you must enjoy the dividend on earth because you cannot even guarantee whether you will make the heaven. So enjoy that of this earth so that at least that will be a plus for you, even if you don't make heaven. But I think it's a wake-up call to our government. We will continue to reiterate it. It's not only in the educational sector, it's impacting on the health sector, it's impacting on the other arms of the government, our art, our tourism sector. Everything is really not just working in line with the way it should be. And this will not impact positively on those people we refer to as the future leaders of tomorrow.
I mean, just to add that we have seen ASUU, it's really unfortunate that this is happening. Our education sector needs a total overhaul. ASUU is currently ahead of the planned strike. There have been protests in different schools.
Yeah.
We've seen stage protests.
Yeah, I saw that of
Uni Abuja,
even
UNM.
Yeah.
So a number of schools have joined in these protests. And it's like a way of saying that, look, we mean business. We're tired of staying at home. We're tired about the quality of our education not being, being subpar. And our students deserve better. Their teachers in the form of lecturers and professors.
I just want to make an appeal, Olive, that they should not allow what happened, I think, is it 3 or 4 years ago, where students had to stay at home for like 8 months to 10 months.
First year, I stayed home for about 7 months.
7 months.
That was 3 years ago.
Yeah, you can imagine when you are not addressing issues that you're supposed to address. People staying at home for 8 months. You can imagine what will happen. A guy that's not engaged, preoccupied with anything, engage himself in one activities or the other, because those are the things that are very close to him.
Imagine these people saying that their salary has remained the same since 2009. Whereas revenue mobilization allocation of fiscal.
They're saying they should review salaries of
their own is 2008. This one is 2009. So government is just telling them that we are not increasing our own, so we can't increase their own. It's to tell you the importance they place on the education. Yeah. If people can talk to, if Ramfa can come, which agency is actually concerned about the welfare of some of those people? Is it the 70,000 we're talking about for the civil servant that you want to ask as take home that is actually not taking them every day with the high cost of things that we're experiencing every day? I think it's not only about education. I think it cuts across, and government just need to be intentional. That's why a lot of us have advocated. It is not about increasing the salary. It's about providing basic amenities that can make life, more meaningful to people. Access to education. While our parents were going on, they were not agitated. They were not agitating for increase in salary because there was free education. Those that care to listen, I keep saying it. If there was no free education in Lagos State, Will a lot of people like us be able to speak the grammar we're speaking today? Jakonde made the provision, and a lot of them were actually there. There were access to free healthcare, primary healthcare centers. How many of them do we have functioning as we speak? And the people that are that were referred to as the future leaders of tomorrow are the leaders today, and they are not actually doing things in line. And they will tell you that they are actually following the footstep of the founding father,
right,
not replicating those things that they actually enjoy for the current generation to actually.
Okay, let's hear from Ernest. Ernest is calling from Aja. Good morning, Ernest. Thank you for calling Breakfast Central. Let's hear your thoughts.
Oh, we lost that. We lost that. Hopefully we'll get across to you.
Let's hope that Ernest can call back. Let's get to another paper. I know the big story on the Punch is zoning, but we can't escape it because it's a story that is reflected in other papers. So let's move from the Punch now to This Nigerian newspaper to see what the front page of This Nigerian newspaper says. On the front page of This Nigeria, derailment is the big story. Abuja Kaduna train services suspended indefinitely. 6 injured as passengers scramble for safety. Outrage over halt of rail corridor, fresh safety fares persists. NBA conference. Mba renews call for Kanu's release. 411 Nigerians die from scooping fuel from falling tankers in 2024, according to FRSC. Really sad. NSA vows sustained crackdowns on terrorists, hands over 128 rescued Zamfara victims. And then we have an update here from PENCOM. PENCOM says they recovered 4.57 billion naira from defaulting employers in 15 months. So let's talk about this big story here. Abuja Kaduna train services suspended immediately. Yesterday, the news read that at Asham station in the FCT, there was a derailment of the Abuja Kaduna train. And we had talked about the fact that this is the first one happening this year, but last year there were multiples. There was one in March. No, March one was an attack. Is it March or May? That was an attack. March, actually. It was the kidnap attack. Then there was one in May 26th, another one June 7th or June 5th, then another one June 12th. So there are subsequent ones, and usually it's always the thing of the railroads, the track, I forgot what they're called, but those things that sort of keep the track in place. That you could tell that vandals have attacked the tracks and have stolen a number of these. But this now has garnered reaction. There are people who are criticizing them. And there are some that say, okay, maybe this year is not as bad as previous years, but let's get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, maybe we will start from the fact of there's always this ground of comparison, and people can come to say, okay, when you compare the attack and the level at which you suspended the rail system last year compared to this year, I think you can give them some kudos if this is the first we are hearing this year. But be that it may, I think several people have actually made calls as regard placing surveillance on our rail system in such a way to protect it. We've seen several instances of people actually, the vandals, attacking these places, and you've asked yourself the questions, why and how did it happen? We've had situations where there can be synergy between the Railways Corporation and the indigenous or citizen of some of the areas where this rail system had to pass through, so that they can take ownership, protect some of these things.
Absolutely.
And we've had instances of using technology to actually monitor activities over there. But you ask yourself, even when you use technology to monitor this activity, how swiftly are the security agency to actually get on board to make sure that some of these things...
Let's put a pin there. You're talking about using technology. Let's hear from Ernest. Ernest is calling from Aja. Good morning, Ernest. Please go ahead.
Again.
Ernest, have patience. Have patience. We'll pick your call, but we have to have a conversation here. Okay, so like you've talked about technology being a very key instrument in being able to deal with the derailment challenge that Nigeria has. And I completely agree with you. I think another point that you mentioned would be ensuring that the locals take ownership of this, involving them. And I think that's something that we spoke to earlier.
Then
about
the cost of it, because if you're going to involve technology, and I believe Joe mentioned that Rotimi Amechi proposed, it was part of his budget, but it wasn't approved because it was exorbitant. The price for those surveillance systems and things to safeguard the entire rail corridor. Is it something we can afford? Because ASUU is threatening to strike The doctors are threatening to strike. Are we going to use that money to, can we afford it as a nation?
Yeah, well, you see, when you look at all these issues, it's just about planning.
And Third Mainland Bridge repair is going to cost
700 and something trillion. Yeah,
you know, most of the time it's about effective planning. It's not that these funds are not there. You are complaining about, do we have the resources? There are funds in the hands of individuals, as far as this country is concerned, that is actually being misappropriated on daily basis without anybody asking question. Can we put those things together and see the effects this we have on some of the infrastructure we're actually talking about? We've seen instances where you had about overbloated of some of these projects, and nobody is asking question about it. Some of these things, you see the beginning of it, you don't see the end. They just commence the project and suddenly become an abandoned project. These are areas we need to know, and that's why we always call out the anti-graft agency. How much are we monitoring in the area of project delivery to make sure that some of these things are to the pricing of what you actually call some of these things? You know a lot of money that was spent by NNPC the other time in monitoring grids and all the likes. The story we heard thereafter is that EFCC tried to open the book, and it's only the first page they claim they've opened. They said they could not continue. So you can imagine.
It was a horrible.
Let's go to Debo. Hold on, let's go to Debo from Abuja. Debo, good morning. Okay, I think we might just focus. So let's go back to the book that wasn't.
Are you sure there's no maybe there's something wrong with this?
I think some vandals have tampered with the land.
Same ones that
they're saying that the rails.
They want to derail our program, but God would never allow them.
Never. Yes and amen.
They would not.
Okay. There's still some stories. I mean, some other stories.
You missed out on a big story in the past. Sorry to take us back. Because we're forward never, backward never. But in the Punch, Oshun drags federal government to Supreme Court.
Exactly.
He has tried the political way. I'm talking of Senator Jackson Ademola Adeleke.
I was going to take it in the rank, but it's okay.
Likes to dance. The government has been withholding their local government's allocation for in the tune of billions. He also met with President Tinubu with his famous nephew, David Adeleke, a.k.a. Davido Okochoma. And you might think he also endorsed the president ahead of 2027, even though he belongs to PDP. But all these things are not working. Still on still, they have not released the allocation of the local government. So it's taking the legal way now.
In fact, from the grapevine, a little birdie from the grapevine had said that the salaries were being paid from his pocket and from 30 BG and 30 BG daddy.
Wow, that's a serious one.
Yeah.
But what do you mean by still on still?
You should have said still on still now.
Okay. Anyway, still on still. The application has not been released.
I think after adopting all the quite interesting that this is happening in my state. You know, the other time when you were actually reading the story of the monarch, I was smiling from within because why you're showing the daily this particular time. I think the governor have tried the informal way, let me put it that way, of seeking the attention of Mr. President, and if it's not working. But the issue there I need to raise is I hope they've fulfilled that which is expected of them to carry out some of this disbursement that they're actually expecting. Because I know that we have autonomy now, the local government has autonomy, but I don't know the reason why that is actually being withheld. I know they have this issue of saying they cannot have election. There was a period that they had crisis and asked all the local government people to actually go back home that they were not safe. Part of the things I want both the subnational and the federal government to understand is when they have issues like this, it doesn't affect them in any way. It's always affecting the people that they are claiming that they are leading. If you are withholding some of those things, can you come out clean and let's know the basic reason for actually withholding those things? Possibly even the staff, the civil servant, can see how to collaborate with the governor to fulfill that side of yours in implementing the disbursement of aid. This would definitely impact on the citizen, the workers, the civil servant. And now, a lot of people you hear about going into depression. The school will be resuming. You've not paid their salary for months. How do you expect them to cope? And you'll be talking of people venturing into things that is really not allowed in the system. Insecurity will continue because people want to go and steal when they cannot even be paid the salary. How do you expect them to go to work when they are not even being paid salary? And you come tomorrow and say people are not actually going to work. I think anytime we have issues like this, government should understand that it is not about the two elephants that are fighting. If you have anything against the governor, you feel that they've not done things right, can you address the major issues that are actually out there for the citizen you claim you're leading? Enjoy the dividend of democracy, because this will impact more on the civil servant in that particular. And don't forget, my state is more of civil servant. We don't have commercial activity. So when you are not paying the local government, the state, the state civil servant, the local government servant, definitely what you're sending to the people is to be impoverishing them the more, and they'll put pressure on other people.
And then it's happening under a president who went through the same thing in his time as governor of Lagos State. That's just the irony.
Possibly he's only trying to say, I went through the same thing and I'm able to wither it.
So you too find your way.
Find your way and do this. But that's not the way to actually go. A lot of us have said this, that Mr. President, while he was governor of Lagos State, seems to be very closer to the grassroots. But now that it's at the center, a lot of us are asking the question. It seems there is something at ASUU Rock that we always create that distance between the leaders and the followers. Because if you ask yourself, the governor of Lagos State and the president, the same person, there seems to be wide disparity of what we're actually getting now. Because we believe that it will be able to enroll some of these subnationals to actually deliver the dividend of democracy. We've heard about him, giving more allocation to them. How much have we monitored to make sure that they deliver to point some of these funds that are disbursed to them to impact on the common man that we have down there? These are gaps that we are seeing in the governance of today.
Okay.
Very deep.
Let's now move. Do you have a story you want to take?
Yeah.
I wanted us to move to the...
Which one were you looking at? The Vanguard, right? Okay. I don't know if you have...
Okay, we can do the Guardian.
I don't know if you have Guardian. There's a big story there in the Guardian. I don't know if we have that on the screen.
Story.
There are two of them. The very first one is over 5,000 cargoes trapped at ports amid 2 trillion naira demurrage losses. Big one, big story. And remember the FOB and the likes.
Also a new platform, and then Diodogu, that exporters, businessmen are finding it hard to
navigate.
To navigate.
Of course.
Causing delays.
Of course. And then there's this big one, Rivers LG polls. Police vow tough time for cultists and troublemakers. So it's obvious that the LG polls is still going to happen amidst the Nigerian constitution, which of course stipulates that
a timeline between announcement
and when it's to be held, and then it also mentions that it should be done by the state, duly elected state governor, which is one of the issues many have highlighted that it shouldn't hold.
I'm wondering so much power we are actually arrogating to the administrator, the sole administrator. He's actually to come in and bridge the gap. But the gap that is actually bridging seems to be extending beyond what a lot of us are actually asking questions about. As we speak, we've asked the question, what is the state of things with the governor of Rivers State? Where are we? Where are we? We cannot continually, endlessly be having the sole administrator managing activities. I think it was meant for 6 months. I've actually lost count. I don't know the number of months he's actually in. I think he started around February. By now, we should be talking about the expiration of that tenure. But we've seen him ventured into a lot of things that is expected of a democratically elected governor of the state. And you ask yourself, what are other arms of the government that are supposed to look into this? What are they actually looking into? If he's carrying out the election of a local government in that area, you ask yourself, what will become of the governor when he now comes in as a person?
All right, please, let's quickly go on a break. When we come back, we'll take more stories. So please, let's go for this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Breakfast Central is the show, and our final lap, we do have like 5 minutes to go, or 6. So, Olive, which one are we touching
yes, on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, electricity consumers raise concern. I believe, Benga, you wanted to take that. Over tariff hike and epileptic supply. I saw a screenshot posted by a Nigerian actor, and in that screenshot, he was sending a message from his generator guy. When the generator guy said, guy help me, I no get food to feed my family, no work, light there everywhere. So this is a situation of as they favor some.
I see the Swiss one with the pepper person.
You understand. But is that the reality of a number of, how, maybe we should do like a broad check here. How much access do we have to light?
I mean, it's been very good from my end. Very, very good.
Very, very good. I can at least talk about, if not 24 hours, I can talk about 22.
Yes.
22 hours, very good.
So I think all of us on this set have an experience. But I want to specially call out the power service providers in Agungi, Ologolo, Agungi, to be precise. Agungi, I had to move out of Agungi. And I know people that are still in Agungi and Idado axis. And they are still frustrating their epileptic power supplies as if the deities, they did juju.
Where are these places you just mentioned?
These places are right after. So after
I don't know where they are. Where are they?
Sound like Riverine area.
Yeah, I mean, do you know where they
jokes
are?
about where this place is. Is it in Lekki?
Yes, it's in Lekki.
Benga, be careful.
Just after you have
Lekki no hybrid.
Well, what's interesting there is that I think you have the same 33 that actually span from island cutting across to mainland that actually passed through Agungi. I don't know.
So I don't know what's happening. So please,
but
if I get people,
the island is meant to be screaming luxury. You are meant to love it.
Please, let's go to this Nigeria.
NERC, please.
We're going to shout it. We're going to shout it.
Agungi, they need power.
You know this program.
In Agungi,
you know this program. We take on
every day
this job.
And then last month, the traffic lights at the Freedom Junction has not been working for almost 3 weeks. It's an accident waiting to happen. Because people are coming from here, people are coming from the other side. Every time I pass that junction, it's terrible.
Not just that alone, we've had the same issue under Ikeja Bridge. If you are heading towards Kudesho, it's been there. And those guys wearing black will take that as a privilege to make and milk people out.
What do you mean when you say those guys wearing black?
I don't know whether they are supporting LASMA, but they are always there.
Okay.
They wear black.
Is it black or grey?
Is it grey or black?
Yeah.
Well,
black and grey.
Black and grey.
So who are they? What's their designation?
I don't know, but I've called that thing out on several radio stations.
Too many
fixed up, because you will not even know when it's passing you until when you see the people on this side and the other side. Maybe once in a blue moon, the LASMA guys will come out to direct and say, okay, it's your time to come by. They should fix that.
There's some that even hold dispatch riders. You just see them.
You have the area boys, street area boys. You have the ones on uniform.
And to be checking, if it's to send tickets, they'll be quick. Time to fix lights.
And
they're not quick.
That Freedom Road that you mentioned.
Yes.
Just in the middle of that chaos, you still have a police roadblock as just compounding the traffic.
People. Let's have small shame.
This Nigeria is our final paper. One last story. Derailment.
This Nigeria.
Derailment.
I have taken it.
Okay. I just want to highlight it to the other papers too. Abuja Kaduna train. You took that, right?
Yes.
My question to that. Okay, let me leave that. Let me go to the story.
Move that. Let's actually talk about Benue State, because we haven't touched on Benue State. Benue State is on the front page of the Vanguard. Benue Assembly suspends ex-speaker over Governor Alia's impeachment move. I don't know if you've been following what's happening in Benue State House of Assembly.
I suspend 4.
Speaker suspended 4. After suspending 4, 48 hours later, he resigned. Then, after he resigned, the House now lifted the suspension on those 4 and took one of the 4 as the current speaker. Wow. That one now came back and said, you do me, myself, I could do you.
This is political what? Suspension pick to last guy check
off. So you have now suspended the ex-speaker for 3 months.
You suspend me, I suspend you back.
The politics that our people play with some of these things, you ask yourself, is about personal ego and some of the things. Maybe the other guys that were actually suspended initially are loyalists to the governor. You can't take that away, because I saw the reaction of the governor when the man resigned. He said, my hands are clean, I have nothing in some of those things. But We all know how it works and how some of those things play. You see, mine is that whatever the issue that happens between them, they should give the people of the state good governance. They should allow them to actually enjoy the dividend of democracy by providing the basic things that they have actually promised. Benue, as we know, is actually the food basket of the nation. But we've seen a lot of unrest. We've seen a lot of killing in that particular state. What are the State Assembly doing in conjunction with the governor to actually curb this? It's not about whether somebody is resigning, somebody is on suspension or the other. Concentrate on governance. That's why they are actually elected. But they use a lot of this thing to distract the populace of speaking the basic thing that they're actually supposed to do. What we are calling them to do is the impact of the crisis in Benue is affecting other states because we regard them as the food basket of the nation, and there have been serious unrest because even these that are actually happening is impacting on the delivery of that particular state.
All right, this is how we wrap up the show. Benue State, you have a lot of pressing issues, and security is a challenge. Do not be distracted by the multiple suspensions happening with the Benue State House of Assembly. Hold your lawmakers to account. They have a responsibility to wield legislative instruments in your favor and not to be playing internal politics. That's not why you voted them to be there. This is how we close up the show today. Thank you very much, Olusegun Okwade.
It's a pleasure always to start the
week. And thank you to our audience. Thank you to those joining online. We'll see you tomorrow.
And Joe Hansen, welcome back, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. It feels good to be back. I'm happy. It's good to be back.
See you tomorrow, everyone.
See you guys. Thanks for watching.